We have Pooja Nair. She's a learning design specialist, and she has explored a lot on the AI possibilities, and she's working on 100 days 100 days exploration on AI, and a lot of things that I find very interesting, and which is going to be a revolution, and not only in the e-learning or e-learning design space. It's going to be a the findings out of her exploration is very interesting. It will be learning for all of us. So welcome, Pooja.
Thanks, Ashish, and thanks for having me.
It's the AI part definitely, it is interesting, but along with that, I found that you're quite interested in movies, and you have already worked on a couple of them, and you have and the possibilities of storyboarding, which is kind of a really going to be a revolution. So to start with, I would like to know how you started exploring the AI possibilities.
In my current role, also, I get to explore a lot of tools. I'm part of the research cell. So that's how I think it all started. And when this whole AI explosion, began, I obviously was very curious. It all started with Midjourney because, I always had this interest for visuals, for designing visuals, but I'm not a very visual person. I can't, sit and draw. So whenever I used to write any stories and stuff, I always used to supplement it with images that I would search on the net. But a lot of times I couldn't find image that would go with my vision. And then when I found Midjourney, I was like, I've struck something like, really useful. And I actually started exploring it. And I thought that it was able to, come up with images that exactly I wanted, which was in alignment with my vision. So sometimes I would have a dream. And then if I want to explain to someone that this is what my dream is, I can easily draw a visual and, and show it to somebody. So it's as cool as that. And these tools are only evolving. It's getting better and better. So that's how it started. And then obviously after Midjourney, I started exploring, a lot more different tools, video editing tools. Of course, I use ChatGPT a lot. So that's how it all started. And the reason why I thought of having this series is so that I'm basically a very lazy person. So I wanted to bring in that rigor and discipline so that I'm doing this bit of research every day. So which is why I started this, so that I can keep researching on something and sharing my results. I wanted to also show people that how easy it is to actually produce these results. The things that would take a lot of time earlier, now you can easily produce it in a matter of seconds. So that's one of the reasons why I started this whole thing.
In this domain may not find it a threat, but otherwise people look at AI as a threat. Just like computerization started, like it will make people jobless, and whatever kind of clerical jobs that people are doing currently will all be lost. To give a brief on what do you think is the future? Like is that will that be a threat, or is there a solution? Like continuous learning, of course, everyone has to do, but what's your perception on that?
I think that this is something that is revolutionary, and we should all definitely try and find out what is it exactly and how will it help us. So currently, I'm using it not for generating anything new, but for maybe generating that initial idea. So I'm not using it as part of any output, but I'm definitely using it so that I can, get an idea and for the initial stages of storyboarding and stuff. But I've not come across people who have actually used outputs from these tools in their final product. So maybe it's going to evolve, we don't know. But I think we should not consider AI as a threat. Rather than we should learn from it and see how it can help us improve our work. So that is how I look at it. But I feel definitely that we should be in sync with what is happening. And that's one of the reasons why I started researching, because I really want to know what is this all about, and how easily we can turn out stuff using it. I mean, I don't know. I cannot say for a fact what is it going to be like in the future, but I think it's important for all of us to stay updated on the latest trends, so that we also evolve. Like if, for example, tomorrow our jobs may not necessarily remain the same as we are doing today. Maybe our jobs will also evolve. Our roles will also evolve. So there will be some bit of reskilling that might happen. So staying in alignment with the trends and trying and maybe researching a bit on the tools is what I would recommend to everyone.
You have an instructional design background, so for people who may not, who are not into e-learning space, instructional design is basically, word-based or visualization of what you need in the learning space, or and the learning methodology being applied. How learning can be made easy and more immersive. Techniques to do that. So you are into that space. So now with advancement in tools like Articulate 360, where you can even make the output easily for a person you don't need designers or programmers support so for people who are into this space, what would you be advising them, or people who are who want to be instruction designers?
Mm-hmm. I did not, formally get myself trained on instructions, and it happened by chance. I was actually working as a film reporter in Indian Express, and then, this opportunity came along to work with Tata Interactive Systems. That's how my journey started in 2004, and it was like a very interesting journey for me. And there was no looking back. I did not, switch gears and jump on some other profession. So it was something that I followed religiously for the last 20 years, and it's been amazing. So, this is to say that the technology has evolved a lot, but our roles haven't changed, much. It still remains the same. I remember I was storyboarding back then. I'm still storyboarding. I'm, putting my thoughts on paper. Maybe now I have a lot of tools to work with and to play around with. I have ChatGPT to help me. I have, some visualization tools, and of course the technology that we are using, that also has changed. Now I think there is an integration between ChatGPT and different other tools. So we also use tools like Synthesia. With the single prompt, you can generate an entire e-learning. But of course, that has to be reviewed by someone, by of course an instructional designer. You cannot just produce that output and release it to the world. So that's where probably our roles would come in. We need to still be there. We still need to understand the basics in order to understand the output produced by the AI tools. So probably that's where our roles will veer towards in the future.
So of course, an instructional designer can create visual storyboards with this, obviously, because that stage is no more there. Whichever stages are going to get cut, or you can eliminate those things in the process of of a video production, or any output, visual communication output to put
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. So I would say the same thing. While I was, churning out this video in using this tool in video, I also noticed that you just need to have an idea to get started with. That's all it takes. And then, this tool takes over and it will write the script for you. It will design the images for you. It will even sync the audio, with the text, and then it will find all the right animations or visuals. So basically there's no job left for us to do, right? But yeah, when I thought about it, yes, that is true to an extent, but there were some places where I had to also intervene. I could not have used the product as it is. So there were some places which I felt was probably could have designed better. So maybe I intervened. Then I added my own thoughts. I designed my own visuals, added my own script. So that's how I customized it. And I think at this point of time, I think AI tools are limited in their knowledge of understanding the context completely. So that's where I think we have slightly an upper hand over them. So probably this tool will also evolve to an extent. We never know, how is it going to be like in the next 5 years or so. So which is why I said it's important we understand the tool, we and keep up with the trends, so that we are also I think in the know about how things are going to evolve at a later point.
And as you rightly said, we are not using the same content as it is. We will go for editing, or we'll have to do that, because sometimes the visuals are not correctly representing such things that are happening, and of course it comes with the watermark.
Paid subscription, you can remove the watermark also, so that's not an issue. But I would use these tools with some caution, because generally, these tools have certain amount of bias. They are not trained on, the topic of DEI. So all of these things will have to be, maybe the next time they are building or refining this model, they need to maybe keep into account all of these things. And interestingly, I was doing some bit of research on the ChatGPT side of things. Like I was trying to find out if ChatGPT is able to come up with high-level design documents like we do. But I found that initially, I think the results were very basic in nature. It didn't have a lot of context, like it was confusing some of the methodologies we use for e-learning with the methodologies that we use for a VILT, for instance. So it still doesn't have that context, but of course it's going to evolve as we feed more information into it. It is going to understand a lot better. But I would feel at this point you would still need some amount of human intervention to interpret the output, to refine the output. But maybe, like I said, you never know. These tools will evolve, maybe to a great extent in the future.
Or there are tools to identify that whether this content is prepared using ChatGPT or any AI support. So will that be kind of a, yeah, it is case to case, of course, if people are, or the client or the end customer or the end user is not concerned whether this is coming AI generated or whether there is human intervention, that case to case is different. But up to what percentage is it fine to use, like, AI generated content? Or what is your perception on that, as in whether we should use that to that level? Of course we should, because that makes job easy. But what's the criteria, or what are the parameters that we should stick to?
Okay, so firstly, I just wanted to highlight a couple of legal issues that cropped up recently. So it seems New York Times, had filed a case against, some entity for having used their content. Probably this would have happened because of the AI generated content. So I would say that we should use it with a lot of caution. We should not copy paste the text as it is, especially because now, this can be interpreted very easily as to whether you have generated content using ChatGPT, and it also is able to tell which model it was using. So it is very scary. Of course, there are now tools that help you to humanize the content also. But I would say that if I will not certainly use content directly from ChatGPT. I would probably use it to generate that initial thought process, and then I will probably refine it further using my own language. So that is how I think we should go about, because otherwise, especially now, because there are no, policies in place with respect to, laws and regulations on AI. So unless and until that becomes like really cut and dried, we shouldn't use content as such. In fact, a lot of companies now are exercising, caution in using these AI tools, because we never know, what kind of legal issues we can run into. So I would say at this point, let's use AI tools just to generate that initial idea and thought, and maybe to just socialize with people, like this is the kind of output it can generate. But till the time the policies are in place and we're absolutely clear about whether we can use content as is, we should not go ahead and do that.
Clearly answers, because say for example we are using a case study of money laundering, in the e-learning context, say like finance policies, or or state to state in the US, or say like country to country, the money laundering to what extent. So there could be thousands of examples which the ChatGPT could suggest,
Yeah.
or whether we can use that. I mean, this could get into legal or too much complications at not immediately, at some later stage. So
Yep.
yeah, you well said about that. But then, having said that, if we keep aside the learning, of course, learning design has a lot of influence. We can do a lot of so apart from that, in the on a day-to-day life, if you say, like, of course movies is something that you have explored, and which we'll discuss in detail in the coming episodes, as in quite interesting stuff, because and the one which you were talking about, the storyboarding, and there are many which we will discuss in the next episodes. But uh, other than that, in the common in the day-to-day life, have you come across any of those AI tools that a common man can use?
I think there are a lot of productivity tools available, but I honestly haven't explored a lot of that. But I was using this app called Elsa Speak. Basically, and I've also posted about it. So it's a tool that helps you improve your language and vocabulary. So what it does is it will do like a role play with you, and it will chat with you, and you can suggest any topic. It can come up with a topic on its own, and its understanding is also like, like vast. It can talk on any topic with you, and then you have to obviously respond to this app, and through those discussions you will also learn what are the mistakes you're doing in terms of pronunciation or vocabulary, and how you could probably add more nuances to your responses. So I tried it out because I wanted to know if I'm doing something wrong in job interviews, whether my response is not as expected. So it was able to tell me like what are the things that I should improve on, and how can I improve my pronunciation and stuff. So that is an interesting tool. Honestly, I have not explored a lot of other productivity tools. There are lots in the market, but my focus was mostly on these image editing and video editing tools. But yeah, that's a good idea. I should probably explore a lot more.
Does it give also a trend, as in any improvements, as in where we were in the?
Yes, it does. It will analyze everything that you speak. It will analyze your pronunciation, the words that you're using, and it will highlight that. And it will show you exactly where you're going wrong. So you will definitely see a trend. Maybe it will tell you that these are the areas that you're definitely good at, and these are the areas that you. It's like customized learning, if we were to put it that way. So I'm getting to learn exactly what I want, and it's correcting exactly the things that I need to correct. So it's good in that sense.
To give a brief on your exploration in the screenplay writing, and I don't know whether you're using tools for writing screenplay, because there are many which I've heard of, which I have not tried out. But then, since you have worked on movies, and still you are exploring the possibilities, and you are working on something is coming up, I know. So could you please give a brief on your exploration in the screenplay and filmmaking part?
I've used Celtex. That's, I think, the best tool so far. But if you look at Studio Binder, they have great templates for everything. I think any filmmaker who wants to learn about the basics, they can go into Studio Binder. They have excellent videos, and they have these excellent, tools that you can use to build scripts. Not only scripts, but just about everything, even budget for that matter. So I would definitely recommend Studio Binder. But if you ask me, I'm someone who likes to write in Google Docs, and now I've heard that it also has some great AI features. So I think you can visualize images using some of the tools inside or within Google Docs itself. So I need to try that out. But on a day-to-day basis, Google Docs is what I use to. Maybe it cannot create that same format which is there in the script, but I like to write that down myself instead of depending on a tool.
Mm. While we talked about some of the jobs that might no more be there with the evolution of AI, there could be some new jobs, like when movies started traveling across the globe. We came up with subtitles, and there are people who look at that as a great prospect. And there, a couple of my friends are into subtitling. They
Mm.
are very good at subtitling, and they. I don't know whether there is an award for subtitles, but I think there should be on the national level, because they are doing wonderful job. Because uh, the film as such may not communicate as effectively, visually, because with the subtitles only the
Yeah.
whoever is in the jury can make out what exactly they meant. So that is one career prospect which is there in the I'm looking at a film in the while we are talking about film. Similarly, are there have you come across any such job possibilities, or anything that are going to be freakingly making people happy doing that? There are such things, no, that when people say that I'm not doing a job, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, kind of. So have you come across any such possibilities with the AI exploration?
I think, I mean, a lot of it that I'm doing right now, even though it may be as basic as image generation or video editing, all of those are filled with, world of possibilities. In fact, right now I'm exploring a tool called Comfy UI, which I'll be, talking about next. This is where you can control just about everything. So we have so far had tools like Midjourney and DALI 3 and Pika Labs and stuff, but this is where you get into the system actually, and you can, you can experiment with different models, and you can just control just about how you want the output to be generated. So even tools like Midjourney, I heard they do their testing in Comfy UI, so which is great. I'm exploring that, and that's something that I feel that everybody would love getting their hands on. But I think you need to spend a lot of time understanding that tool. And for the rest, I would say that um, I think in the future, a lot of new tools are going to come, which are going to completely replace, human jobs, whether it be subtitling or, people who do translations, for instance. It's going to be so easy doing that. But I think you would still need someone to refine that model and keep doing that on a regular basis. So for that reason, I would still say that we need human intervention. And I think people should just continue doing what they're doing and also on the side explore these tools to know how it can enhance their work and productivity.
With tools going cloud and with all these possibilities, there are lots that we will feel like we'll be tempted to go for subscription, and it's not easy to manage all, because now we have at least a scores of OTT channels for which we might have got subscribed to, along with that and all these possible. But of course, those for exploration we may not need a subscription. But do you suggest? I know there are list of tools that you have recommended, but for anyone who would want to explore, on the AI, do you have a couple of sites that you recommend to go for subscription?
Go for subscription. I would say Midjourney for sure, because though it's slightly a little difficult, I would say for people to like because they have to download the Discord apps and they need to do all of those things initially. But I think as a tool, it is more reward. You should just look at the quality of output that it's able to produce. I would at the same time recommend DALI 3 as well because it has also evolved a lot. Just to understand this whole process of how image editing works. I would also recommend certain video editing tools like Descript. Someone who has to just understand the basics, maybe just log in and subscribe to that. Canva is a great tool. Canva is something that you can use just about for everything, right? From writing, image generation, video editing, and putting all of that together also. So Canva would be a great. In fact, I have a subscription for Canva, and that's something that I will always want to, have it as one of my cherished tools. And to read about it, I would say that I have subscribed to this group in LinkedIn called Generative AI. So they keep, posting about something or the other. So definitely, I mean, you should subscribe to that channel. And there's another one called There is an AI for that. So they also come up with interesting, topics on the different kind of AI tools that are, coming up. There's another tool that I recently found out, and it's going to be a game changer. It's something that you can use to create an end-to-end CGI animation. So you can imagine, like how explosive that and disruptive it's going to be like. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
I think this itself is like quite a great learning listening to you. But there are more that are coming up in the coming episodes when we talk about each of those tools that you explored and the possibilities. So looking ahead for that, and it was wonderful listening to you, Pooja. And all the best for your great career and AI exploration. It's going to be a revolution for sure. And thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Ashish, for having me.